My favorite part about New Orleans has got to be the food, honestly. There are like barbecue places and stuff like that around, Washington, but the stuff here, there's just something about it that's just so much better.
Just the spirit and the culture and how musical everything is. When I walk down the streets, I just feel like very welcomed. I think it's really cool and really neat how friendly and open everyone is.
So you can walk down the street and everyone knows each other, and even if you don't, you'll still say hey, and everyone's connected, and it's just like a family, and everyone just feels close.
All the tradition, all the history, the city has a spirit that you don't find in a lot of American cities.
The thing that I like best about New Orleans is the community. The community is so knit together and so vibrant and so different from where I'm from that it's really nice to experience this type of community and this type of involvement.
I've fallen so in love with New Orleans that I'm actually coming back and moving here. I'm going to Loyola University next year.
People are so friendly and they just greet you. They don't know you. And there are various people from different walks of life, but they still greet you. They take the time to do that. Even just people passing by. They honk the horn and wave their hand, and you don't always get that. And that shows the community, a sense of connection is what I see. And that's what I think so far I've enjoyed about New Orleans.
I actually didn't know people were still struggling and trying to recover from Hurricane Katrina, which is why I'm going on this trip. I had no idea that there was these many houses that still needed to be rebuilt.
You can drive through the lower 9th Ward and there'll just be blocks of just empty lots. You'll still see where the foundation was. In this one area, there's a whole block that's just empty. It's just overgrowth now, and you'll see a few concrete steps leading to nowhere. A lot of people are still not back.
You could see all the houses, just really run down, a lot of garbage and really tall grass and weeds, and it's just really sad to see.
If you stand up near the top of the levee and you look out there and you just see it, it's almost like a wasteland. Just to see the empty lots and to realize that there was probably a family that had been there for possibly over 100 years and they're gone. It's just a terrible thought.
First of all, Hurricane Katrina was picking up more and more mass as it started heading to the Gulf. And my family and I, we say, look, when it get to the Gulf, we getting out of New Orleans. So I did not stay for the actually hurricane. We left town, but I was back in New Orleans a week after the hurricane had passed. And I went to see the devastation of my property. I lost my property 100%. When I got to the 9th Ward, my friend and I, we went to the 9th Ward, and I saw the way the houses was pushed like a toy, like you have a toy slate game, and the houses was pushed to the side. My friend's house was pushed back maybe 2 blocks from where the foundation of his house were. And the cars, the stench. I brought my wife back the night that we got here. She cried the entire night because of the big blue flies, which was the death fly, big black flies, and the mosquitoes, the gnat, and the smell of death. You could smell it in the air. She said, you got to get me out of here. And we stayed here one night because she cried the entire night. New Orleans would never be the same, and God bless her soul. She eventually died, maybe 5 years after, probably from stress of trying to put the house back together again. People thought we were crazy trying to clean up the mess. Mud in the houses, furniture thrown all over, the mold. It really was just, I don't want to use the word horrific, but it was just something that was unnatural. People was, they was lost. People walked around mystified, confused, discombobulated. And you had people that come in here and they were stealing people's household. They were stealing their work. You had contractors coming from all over the country. They did not have license, taking people money. You know, folks were not familiar with the process. And our people suffer the most. And all the, you know, they didn't know about after the hurricane. All they knew that you just get up and clean up. But it wasn't that you get out and clean up. It just was devastation, too much devastation for you to even try to put your life back together, because you have lost everything that you humanly own. You know, a lot of poor African Americans own their property. They did not know about contract, and they did not know about renovation. And as I said earlier, people had come through just jacking them out of their stuff. The insurance went up, taxes went up, and the people suffered, as they still are suffering from 10 years after the storm. If you go down to the Ninth Ward now, you would think the storm just happened last year, you know, without streets being paved, and they, you know, they just did the people wrong.
On this house, a lot of it has already been done, so we've been doing a lot of like sanding and mudding, paper tape, patching, just general getting ready for texturing and painting. So, and hopefully we're going to get to that at the end of the week.
New Orleans is a great place. The food is great. The people are wonderful. I love talking to just the regular folks away from areas that you would come as a tourist, but mostly it's a great opportunity for me to spend time with the students. Probably 3/4 of them tell me that this is better than laying on a beach somewhere and wondering what they're going to do next. I think that they get to get out of their comfort zone and do things that they normally wouldn't do. They're not sleeping in their own bed, their time is not their own, there's very little privacy. I think that our kids are spoiled, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think that they need to have some juxtaposition of what others have to live with on a daily basis to understand how good they really do have it.
I'm in the business of building. I went to school for business. I graduated. Construction. My grade was 89.6.
So Mr. Lee has lived a very full life. He's now 94. He was born on a plantation here in New Orleans. I actually just found that out in a conversation with him a few minutes ago. And he built this house with his own hands. And then Katrina kind of came in and did what it did everywhere. It ripped the house apart. And so St. Bernard Project is here rebuilding it.
Wife and 7 kids. And all of them went to college. I sent all of them to college. There was no student loan then. This was on there in my pocket. There wasn't no student loan when my children went to college.
How long had you been living in this house?
This house here, since I got to live here September the 4th, 1947. And I had enough money to save, so in 4 years, 9 months to finish in the Navy. And I had enough money to save up and came back home and built 3 rooms in the kitchen. And that's all I could afford. I had 7 kids. And I lived there until you all got in touch with him and said, I need a brand new house.
And he's just one of the most energetic people I've ever met, and I love that I get to meet the homeowner. That's huge for me, having that personal connection, that when I'm back home I will be able to see a face living in this house instead of just not knowing. So that's really special for me.
You actually are sitting with someone today that's a living historian that's gone through a lot, and you have an opportunity that your children won't have. So with that being said, I introduce my friend. I feel very fortunate to call her my friend, Renee Firestone. Please give her.
As you heard, I'm a Holocaust survivor, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. They are talking about slavery, and the fact is that I, at one time, was a slave myself, and I will tell you about that.
Renee Firestone is one of the most amazing people I've met in my lifetime, I think.
The weight of her story, it doesn't change. It always just like sticks with you in the moment, and you know, for a long time afterwards.
I had no idea what struggles people were I did have an idea, but I didn't know it was that bad.
In Auschwitz, they did tattoo, and I still have my number, because you were not a human being then. You were considered only a number. And that's the time. It's upside down. It's A12307. That's who I was. Prisoner A12307. I could, if I would utter my name, I would be killed for it. It was you were not allowed to say a name because you were not human. What I hear you are doing here is amazing, and I really congratulate you and thank you for it. Because that's how it starts. To think about other people as human and see that they have a need and I'm able to help. You should know that the work you're doing here is more humane than anything I ever heard of. And I hope that when you are finished with the projects and you go back home, you will tell all the people that you know what you've been doing and what they should be doing also. To help somebody in need. That's what we are supposed to be. Human beings who are here, and if we are lucky enough to have things and be who we are, we should give that away. We should give it to everybody who needs it. And that's the only thing I know.
She's definitely one of these people who has faced a terrible thing in their life but has been able to overcome it, and I think we can all pretty much learn a lesson from that and learn from her optimism and her perseverance.
When they say, go marching home, when they say, go marching home, Lord, I wanna be in the number, when they say, go marching home, or when the sun refuse to shine, or when the sun refuse to shine.
My name is Jester Jackson. I'm one of the street performers out here. During Katrina, which was about 10 years ago, I did lose my house. My house was in close to 9 feet of water in the 17th ward. And to say the least, it's now gone and is an empty lot. It might have been rebuilt and another house might currently be on it, but at the current time of Katrina, my house was completely decimated. I basically lost everything. Because of my desire to meet the challenge, I've been able to rebuild, and I do have another house now. But it has been a very long, long road. For those of you that are currently helping us out here in New Orleans, for those that are unfortunate enough to not have been rebuilt by now, please help them as much as you can. And from my heart to yours, thank you so very, very much.
The Whitney Plantation is the only plantation in this country to highlight and remember slaves.
There was like a part where it had all of the kids and their ages and then their names, and I think the worst part about it all was some of them were like unknown or they didn't have a name, and I just can't imagine like having kids die but not having a name to put on them, which just showed me how much they really were just like objects and they weren't actually people.
I've realized this, but I've never really seen it from my own eyes, is how whitewashed the whole slavery issue is in American history. The Whitney Plantation really opened up my eyes to that.
Anna came from the Virginia area, bound for the auction block of New Orleans, Louisiana. She traveled with her mother and 2 brothers. And her mother became ill aboard that ship with cholera, and she died. As was customary, they threw her overboard so not to infect anybody else aboard that ship. That's the last time Anna saw her mother. When she and her brothers arrived at the auction block of New Orleans, the 2 brothers had already been promised to 2 different plantations, so they were now being sold. And so Anna stood there alone in that courtyard of the auction block crying. She was 5 years old. So she stood there alone, and Mr. Marshall and Hydell of this property saw her, and he purchased her. He purchased her to be a companion to his wife Marie Azalie, who could not have children. So she was brought here to the big house on Habitation Hydell, where she grew up, and they raised her like their daughter. But if you were a female slave, you had no rights and no power over your body. So she was raped. And 19 years later, she gave birth to Victor. So Victor, we know, was a Hydell, and he was baptized in the Catholic faith. Because during that time period, especially once the slave codes were written, it was stated that to baptize your slaves would make them a little bit more human-like, because they were considered to be savages and animals and property. Slave girl by the name of Siri was only 25 years old, but she was considered healthy, called her an idiot. Of course, an idiot only meant that Siri did have some form of mental problems, but she was healthy and considered a good breeder. Your female slaves from 13 years old to 30 were called good breeders. The men from 19 onward were your bucks. That is, ladies and gentlemen, when your domestic slave trade really started to take off in this country. Because now those relationships were being forced, coerced, and given time constraints within which to have children. Sometimes a year to a year and a half. If they did not have a child within that time period, the female would be sold, and the male would be just placed with a new partner.
What I didn't tell you yesterday, that after I left Auschwitz, I was taken to Liebau, to a city where I became a slave laborer. So I know something about slavery. And coming here and listening to the stories, it amazes me how similar the ideas were in Germany to what was happening here. How can people think that they can sell another human being? I mean, what right do I have to sell another human being? So I'm so glad that we had a chance to come here. You know, I'm at the end of my life, and I I never dreamed that I'm gonna be able to see all this. So I'm really just amazed.
There's definitely a connection between the Holocaust and slavery, because it's someone getting an idea that they can control people and deface people. As far as Hurricane Katrina, I feel that there was a devastation in a community that was already suffering. They were already at the below the poverty level. They had no means of providing for themselves, and I don't think the rest of the world acknowledged the amount of need that should have been here immediately.
I've never experienced discrimination or racism directed toward me, and that is a part of this white privilege that's such a reality that a lot of people just kind of, it goes right over their head. They don't recognize it, don't have any, they don't reflect on it at all. And I think it's super important that everyone, especially every white person, realizes that they are privileged, and that privilege can be turned into a voice that can speak for voiceless.
Nobody know the trouble I seen. Nobody know my sorrows. Nobody know the trouble I seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometime eyes up, sometimes eyes down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes eyes almost to the ground. Oh, yes, my Lord. 'Cause nobody know the trouble I seen. Nobody know my sorrows, my sorrows. Nobody know the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Although you see me going on so, oh yeah, Lord, I've had my trials here below. Oh yes, Lord. Oh yes, Lord. Nobody know. Nobody know. Nobody know.
We went to a welcome home party, and I just really relished and cherished that experience because it was so nice to see someone moving back in.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome home! And they were very grateful for everyone that had contributed to them. They will never forget the hurricane and the devastation that it caused, but I felt like they were just joyful, and it was just really touching for me. I mean, I got to go in the house and walk around and see what it was like, and it was really amazing because it was a very nice house. I was really excited for them to move on with their lives and to start a better life.
Shirts Across America has sent over 2,000 high school and college students down to New Orleans to rebuild homes. But more importantly, it's impacted 140 different families. We've worked on 140 homes and projects in the Gulf Coast. That to me is amazing. My hope for Shirts Across America is that we can empower and inspire as many young adults as possible. So as they go off to college and beyond, they're always looking at how I can impact my local community. How can I impact the neighbor that I'm living next to in a positive way? And if we create that, then we create a community that is truly a family. I want to thank every single student and parent and grandparent that's allowed us to bring you to the Gulf Coast. Because of you, we've been able to impact a lot of people, and we've been able to have them move back home. But more importantly, you've brought a sense of dignity to those families. You have showed that you value other human beings, and you've shown that you have great love for other people. So I want to thank you for trusting in us to be a part of that process for you, and I hope that that you always take with you the impact that you've had not only in New Orleans, but the impact you're having on the world.